Hello, I'm Paul. Welcome to Mind Over Matter, episode 7. Today's guest is Karina Love.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Today we're also going to carry on the discussion of mental health and how it affects everyone and how it affects everyone's day-to-day life. So Karina, can I ask you, what is your thoughts on mental health? And I know it's such an umbrella term. Can you describe mental health to us a little bit, how you feel about it?
How I define it? Mental health, I would say anything that has an impact on someone's mental, how someone is feeling in themselves on a mental basis. But for me, it's all linked mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, physically, the whole shebang. All of it can have an impact on how someone's feeling.
I know, because it can be from something as severe depression, or something as anxious, and people think, oh, I'm just anxious. That is a form of mental health, isn't it? And what kind of forms of anxious is there, did you find?
OCD is one. I know a friend of mine, she suffers with OCD quite badly, with all sorts of things, all to do with sort of safeness and fear, or relating to her childhood, funny enough. Anxiousness, I suppose, is something that I have dealt with. Depression, suicide, personal experiences with a long time ago. So but there's many forms of mental health issues.
So do you think mental health, where does it come from? Does it really come from trauma, childhood trauma, or trauma in the past?
I think it comes from many different places. Childhood trauma tends to be one, but not just childhood trauma, childhood experiences. So anything that impacts, when children are very young, because they're coming from an emotional brain, so they haven't got the logical brain, doesn't develop until about between 6 and 9 years old. Yeah. Everything's coming from an emotional standpoint, so everything they hear and see, the subconscious kind of takes on, it goes straight to the subconscious, and that can then shape them, their perspective on the world, how they behave, how they interact with people, the thoughts that they have. And if they've had anything that's considered traumatic to that child as they get older, then it just accumulates as they get later on in life.
And that can be detrimental to relationships,
everything.
friendships,
everything.
So a lot of people talk about depression pills and medicines. I know that you do some alternative medicines. Could you like to explain about that at all? Some alternative thinkings? Would you like to explain that?
Yeah, I do various alternative. The business I'm going to be setting up is actually in complementary therapies. And at the moment I am qualified in Rahani, which is Rahani Celestial Healing. So it's very similar to Reiki. The practice is the same as Reiki, the modality is the same as Reiki.
So to tell our viewers, what is that? What is it Rahani? What is it?
It's an energy-based healing.
Energy-based healing.
So like Reiki, if people have heard of Reiki, which is a lot more mainstream, its energy comes through the practitioner and then comes through the hands, and then you're working on someone's aura, like someone's energy field that we all have that surrounds us, that surrounds our physical bodies. So you're working on that, where Reiki is a certain type of energy that you're channeling. With Rahani, you're channeling in sort of an angelic energy. So it's love. It's all about connecting people back to their heart, bringing balance, mind, body and soul. It's a very, very beautiful energy to work with. And the other is shamanic practices. So I've actually stepped onto shamanic medicine wheel, and that encompasses anything. It's the oldest form of spirituality known to man, and encompasses anything. But to me, the idea of a shaman is someone who works with nature and works with anything within the natural world to bring any being within the natural world into holistic well-being, so a state, balance, mind, body, soul.
And into balance. And do you need to realise yourself, you need to be open to be healed, to be balanced? Because some people walk around with this baggage for years, don't they? They don't even realise, you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
So the first part is realising I've got some problems, I've got some mental health issues, I need to address them, don't I?
Yeah, awareness is definitely the first.
Is the one, yeah.
It's definitely the first step. If you're in denial, or if you like to say it's all within the subconscious, because subconscious remembers absolutely everything. It's like a record. So, and we tend to, as we get older, tend to box these things up, put them in the back of our brain, suppress them. People turn to external sources of comfort,
e.g. alcohol, excessive eating, negative patterns of thinking.
Yes.
Because it's all just a circle, isn't it? It's just,
it's
and
just
you
cycle.
need to break that cycle.
Yeah, break the trauma cycle. So yeah, people will suppress, and then at some point later in life they might have an epiphany, or they might have, obviously some people term awakening, but to me awakening doesn't just mean, it's more awakening up to yourself, who you really are underneath everyone else's bullshit that you've had piled on you since you were very, very young.
And it must be nice to have that lifted off you.
It's fabulous.
Because I know a lot of it about patterns. We're talking about patterns, bad cycle patterns, because you can swap bad thinking patterns for good thinking patterns.
Yeah. I
know a lot of people have thoughts, and sometimes thought isn't real, but if you give that thought energy, then that thought can take you away. You know, we have, how many thoughts do you think we have a day? I heard something between 70,000 to 100,000.
I think I've heard about 1 million.
1 million? What, a day? Just thoughts?
Yeah, because your mind never stops.
It never really
stops,
does it? No.
And if you don't pay attention to the stuff that's just running through your mind, I used to be very, very critical of myself, very judgmental because of the judgments that I'd been given by other people. Mainly, and then you internalise that and you become more and more critical of yourself, and before you know it, you're just walking around telling yourself off for every single thing that you've done or haven't done throughout your day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's just,
sometimes give yourself a break, you know, it's okay, no one's perfect, so wait, don't go.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think sometimes we have these thoughts, if you give them power, if you give them, think about them, that's when they can go off. So just a thought, like I think of it like a train. Comes into the station, and then it just leaves the station. I'm not getting on that train. Goes, and then you come back to the present again. Do you think being present is important?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so when you're present, you are more aware of yourself. How am I thinking? How am I feeling? What am I doing in the world? How am I operating with others? You can only really be, awareness comes from being present. And
you say you're starting up your business. What was that? Is that doing some healing work?
It will be, yes. So it'll be doing the Rahani, doing the shamanic practices that I offer at the moment, which will increase the further along the medicine wheel, I guess. There's like 4 directions of medicine wheel, so it can take quite a long time to complete the whole thing. I'm also doing a hypnotherapy-based course at the moment as well. So I'll have, the idea is to be able to offer many different therapies.
So hypnotherapy, can you talk to us more about that, please?
Okay, this particular one is hypnotherapy based. So the lady that created the course was a lady called Marissa Peer, who's very, very big in self-development world. She does a lot with a company called Mind Valley, who are very well known. And the course that she's created is hypnotherapy, NLP, CBT, and I think a few other things are sort of amalgamated into one. But the idea is it's very, very quick. So you go to traditional hypnotherapy and it could take between 6 sessions, maybe average, for you to be able to deal with an issue. With this, it's between 1 and 3 sessions, and that issue is dealt with. And I went to, with this hypnotherapy course, I actually went to the live events. We got to spend 5 days with the lady that created it in the afternoons, and then practice with other students.
Oh, really?
And when we was doing it, when you were doing the sessions with some other students, and she was doing the demonstrations in front of the whole group, you got to witness instant changes in these people, where they've had this stuff they've been carrying around since a child. And suddenly it's gone. You take them, sort of regress them back in hypnotherapy, so you take them into a meditative state, basically what hypnotherapy is. And then when you're in that meditative state, you can then start talking to a person's subconscious, and it's the subconscious that holds everything. So then you can sort of pull the memories out, if you like, or get them to remember certain things, but then you're able to change that. So like say the replacing or the reframing, as they call it, this particular modality. And then people change, and they have instant changes.
It's always the subconscious. We don't realise that we hold this, do we?
No.
And that's tapping into the subconscious to change these beliefs, isn't it?
Yes.
And so you can change the bad beliefs and negative beliefs into good beliefs.
Yeah, and then you change someone's behaviour and actions because you change their beliefs. They're no longer walking around critical of themselves, feeling depressed. They're able to see there actually is a different way.
Do you think like social media has got a big impact? It's like every time you look on Facebook or someone's Instagram, it's basically their highlight reel, isn't it? It's not them day to day. So a lot of people look at it and think, oh no, this person's doing this person looks like this person, that's their highlight reel, it's not them. So you don't always have to amount to that, do you?
Yeah, and I know someone in particular, I won't mention any names, but I know someone in particular that when I've seen their Facebook statuses, it looked like they're having an amazing time. They were off on holiday all the time, amazing life. And then when I saw them in real life, and they hadn't done any of that, those pictures they were putting on Facebook actually were, a few years old.
Yeah.
And I suppose maybe in their eyes, it was a way for them to feel better about their life at that present time. but it gives you a completely different perspective on someone else's life. You don't really know what's going on behind closed doors.
No, you don't, no. And I think that's the thing about mental health issues is, you know, someone's got a broken arm, someone's lacerated, cut, you can see that, but you can't see mental health damage.
No.
And that we're having these discussions now in bringing awareness to it, I think, you know, we're really doing a service really to the nation.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
And now going back to negative thinking, negative cycles, you know, I've found a lot of ways that I've helped in my own experiences and how to cut the cycles. I found out something about chewing gum. So if you're nervous, you stop salivating, because it's, say, back in the caveman days, you'd be running away from the saber-toothed tiger, so you wouldn't have saliva because you wouldn't want to eat. So once you start thinking these negative thoughts or getting depressed or anxious, pop a chewing gum in, all of a sudden you're creating saliva and your mind thinks, wait a minute, there's no risk here at all. And it breaks the cycle.
Okay, that's good. I've not heard of that. That's good.
Yeah, it breaks a bit like meditation breathing. Do you meditate?
Yeah, I really meditate pretty much on a daily basis.
Oh,
but I found different meditations. I couldn't meditate a few years ago, and people have I know a lot of people that have trouble with the word meditation.
Why do you think they have trouble? It's a bit stigma. It's like hippie, but it's you're breathing, isn't it? It brings you back centre, and your mind thinks.
Yes, I think with the person I'm thinking in particular, it was more when you're meditating, this whole idea of you're supposed to completely empty your mind, and I don't know if there's many people that can actually get to that unless you live, I suppose, a Buddhist life. They might get to the point they can empty their mind, but it's more just about being able to sort of quieten things or take your focus off that and bring your focus onto something else, like the inner self. So that's how I did it. I don't actually stop the thoughts. Like you say, thoughts come and they kind of go. So it's just trying to...
Not feed the thought.
Yes, not trying to run away with it.
Run away with the thought, yeah. So do you think like goals are important? Having some sort of goals, short-term goals, because then otherwise, and it doesn't even have to be, you know...
Little goals, little steps.
Little goals.
Yes.
Because the first step is to take one, isn't it? And I think that's important for anyone to... Just so they've got something to shoot for, otherwise you get lost in your own thoughts, and that's when people get depressed, because they think, well, I've got nothing anyway and nothing's happening. But if you're working on something, writing a book, exercise, whatever it is, building Lego, whatever floats your boat, man, you know. But at least it's something for you to focus on. Do you think that's important to have something to focus on?
I think it's also good for having, let's say, the outcome side of things. So this is an accomplishment that I want to reach, but it's also then you've got a reflection to look back on, so you can then kind of look back. It's very important with the shamanic side of things. We journal quite a lot, and it's helped to be able to look back and see, right, okay, that's where I was a few years ago, and this is kind of where I am now. And you can sort of link things up. It's amazing. There's so many synchronicities and things when I look back. But if I didn't have all that, looking back, I wouldn't be able to see it now.
No.
So you just you obviously be unaware.
So it's about awareness and breathing. Yeah,
definitely.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
You're
had
welcome.
A really good discussion, and we wish you all a Merry Christmas from the Mind Over Matter crew, and wishing everyone a Happy Christmas at home and Happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you.